Hello and welcome to Ready Set Glow. My name is Aphelele and you are connected right here on the wireless. Today I'm joined by a lady who is changing the narrative when it comes to natural hair, a natural hair enthusiast who took the initiative to start a community of not just confident queens, but also kings. The woman who is championing the message when it comes to that people should not feel pressured to fix their hair. I'm talking about Simone Thomas of Cruise Rocks. Thank you so much for making time for me, Simone. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much. And thank you very much for the invitation and for allowing me this platform.
So, before we start with anything else, Simone, I need you to tell me more about who is Simone Thomas, apart from being just the founder of Cruise Rocks. I mean, you're also finishing your PhD in consumers marketing.
Yes. So I get to ask this question quite often. I think I'm a student of life and I will be probably a lifelong learner.
Yes.
But above and beyond that, I grew up on the Cape Flats in Cape Town.
Okay.
And I am proudly proudly Cape Town as well. I'm a pet mom. I am a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm an auntie. That is part of who I am. And I always say that I'm probably my grandmother's answered prayers, and I am my ancestors' wildest dreams
Love
come
that.
true. That is, in a nutshell, who I am. Yes.
So, in 2015, you documented your natural hair journey and you decided to shave off all your hair. What prompted the decision to do that?
You know what? I was actually just so super tired. I was
Okay.
super tired of this whole rigmarole of flat ironing hair and the blow drying and what we call in Cape Town the swirling of the hair. I
Swole
was just
goes.
tired of it. Yes, I was tired of that whole rigmarole, the tedious process of getting your hair to be straightened and literally all of the suffering that goes with it. And then I couldn't even celebrate it. I couldn't even rock this blowout or this flat ironed hair because obviously in Cape Town weather, lots of moisture in the air, lots of humidity, and then it would mince. And
Mm,
I just got tired of that whole of really that whole um, tedious process. And I saw a friend of mine in December. She came down the stairs. I hadn't seen her for a while, and she came down and she had chopped off all her hair. And
okay.
I said, "Girl, if you can do it, so can I."
All right.
And 2, 3 months later, with some regrowth, I chopped off all my hair, and that's really what it was. It was a place of frustration,
Mm.
a place of questioning, but also lots of discovery.
Love that. So I now understand that Chris Rocks is a community of beautiful women who are advocating self confidence and natural hair and also loving ourselves whilst doing it. But I also understand that it wasn't always a community when, or rather before you founded it at the time. Who did it consist of?
I think there wasn't much people that because when I returned natural, and I remember in 2011, I that was the initial part of me, like okay, finding, and I wanted to find people online that
Yeah.
spoke about spoke my language, that understood the lingo that I grew up with, and I couldn't find anyone online that was speaking about natural, not just returning natural, but this association with crusade because that's what I grew up with, and I realized that no one was actually everyone was talking about natural hair,
Mm.
going natural and returning natural, but no one was about it. Actually, it's going back to your crusade, and this relationship that we have with this word and this association that we have with this specific word. And I couldn't find anyone. And I was like, okay, let me start the conversation. Let me start uploading it. And actually, let's address the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room was this thing about crusade. And I just said, you know what? This is crusade. This is what we define as crusade. And actually, the rocks, because I don't, I can actually wear it out. I don't
Mm.
have to worry about is my hair going to mince when I leave the house. I don't have to cover it up. It's just going to be so beautiful and it's going to be so celebrated. I don't have to run for cover. I don't have to wear a scarf. I don't have to wear the swirlcoats any longer. I'm
Mm,
actually free from all of those elements and factors in our society that kind of wanted to subdue this
yeah.
Afro hair.
Okay, mentioning cruce, I know growing up the word cruce was always associated with not pretty. I know personally as a Xhosa girl who has attended multiracial schools, my afro or rather textured hair will always referred to as cruz and not in a such nice way like we doing now
Mm-hmm.
that cruz rocks. So were you intentional in naming the community cruz rocks also?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So it is about, for me, it was about, let's change this association. Let's take back our power because it's actually a very old Afrikaans word. It's a
Mm,
very derogatory,
mm,
a word that's very derogative. And I wanted to change that. And the only way that we can change that is actually that we take back the power. So actually, when you're saying that my excuse is not an insult,
not
because I've
anymore.
taken back the
Mm.
power. It's not an insult. It's like, oh, you're saying my excuse? Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, it is cruise and it's rocking. So when you look at the word cruise and you look at rocks, rocks is more of a celebration, right? So the celebration of this thing that was defining our hair, that was putting labels on our hair that we grew up in. And so it's a bit of a paradox that I would say, it's a bit of a
Mm-hmm.
contradiction, but it is very much intended because we actually took our power back because now actually no, you can't insult me. It's
No,
not
you
an
can't.
insulting thing.
Love
It's a
it.
compliment. Thank you very much.
Okay. The community Cruise Rocks is huge, and I guess that's just evident as to how much people really needed the community. The education behind it, the teaching it provides. You also visit schools and you have held events. Tell me the importance of reaching as many people as possible, especially the little ones in school. How important is that to you?
Yes. So my master's was actually done on the topic of natural hair and
Okay.
specifically the consumer behavior that they are. And so obviously marketing is my field. And so I wanted to find out more about this demographic, about this consumer segment. And consumer behavior has got a lot of psychology into it as well. And I found as one of the key findings of my master's and my thesis was that women, even older women, up until their 50s, they remember that they grew up hearing, go and fix your hair,
Mm,
go and do something to your hair, go
mm,
and make your hair right. You can't be leaving the house, going to church, going to work, going for an interview with that hair. Go and fix your hair. And so when we say that something needs fixing, we are actually inferring that it is broken. And so most of the women that I interviewed, in fact, all of the women that I interviewed, that was their relationship. That was the words that they heard from a young age. And so by the time they, even as adults, running their own lives, moved out of the house, have their own family, that was the one thing that stuck with them. And so we need to, and this is really also one of the key focus areas of Chris Rocks is to make sure that children never hear the words, go and fix your hair. Children never hear the words, there's something wrong with your hair.
mm,
That children never hear the words, go and straighten your hair.
mm.
And it is a very important aspect that the next generation, that they are liberated from this notion of straight hair is the
Yeah.
only definition of beauty. And that's why it's so important that the language that we speak as adults and the
Mm-hmm.
words that we use, that is altered, that is changed, and that you don't tell your child or your niece or whoever, whatever child is in your family and in your circle, that is not the language that you use.
Yes.
That we not don't use this thing about, oh, go and fix your hair, because when you're saying that somebody's hair needs fixing, you're
Mm,
actually saying that there's something wrong with that
yeah.
person's hair.
Okay, so I have recently found out that a person can have different hair textures and hair type in just one head. I need some education. How many different types of hair is there, and how is that possible? Because it makes
So,
sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So, Mr. Andrew Walker, many, many years, he wanted to, he's a stylist, professional hairstylist, and
Mm-hmm.
I think he was Oprah Winfrey's hairstylist for many, many years. I
Okay.
think he's probably still is. And he came up with this framework, which is called the hair typing system. And the idea behind the hair typing system is to know your hair type so that you know which type of products to use, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that you know also to help with your product regimen, your hair wash day regimen. Um, do you use a leave-in conditioner, not a leave-in conditioner? Do you use a heavier oil versus a lighter oil? So that is really the purpose of the hair typing system. There are, of course, lots of controversies around it, but at the basis and the foundation of it all was actually just to assist women to identify and help them to understand, okay,
Okay.
how do I actually build a sustainable regimen? So you get four types of hair,
Okay.
right? Type one, two, three, and four. Type 3 and 4 is then divided into subsection, which you have type 3A, type 3B, type 3C, as well as type 4A.
Okay.
Type 4A, type 4B, type 4C. And it's really divided into your straight hair, wavy, curly, and then your kinky
All
hair.
right.
And because I think because of our diversity, and you have, I've got two types of hair on my head. It comes, it's just how I was made. It
Yeah.
is, our background, our bloodline, because my great grandfather's actually a Xhosa guy,
All right.
which I never met. And you find out about these things at funerals, and then the people are dead,
Yeah.
and you can't ask them questions. You're like, okay. So, and my grandmother is very fair. My
Okay.
grandmother's colored woman, and and so, of course, because of all of that,
Mm.
our diversity, our background, our history of our country, and just us, yeah, the blood speaks. And so, of course, you have different texture of hair on your head. And so, I've got a type 4A and a type 3C.
Mm-hmm.
And when I initially went natural, I thought that I would have a type 4C. And it
Uh-huh.
turned out, no, you actually have more type 3C and then type 4A hair on your head. So, of course, type 4 is much more kinkier. That
Mm.
is much more coilier. It is more, the hair follicles are closer to each other. The hair strand shrinks much more.
Yeah.
Where if you have your type 3 is a curlier, that's that S curl that makes those twirls, and your type 1 and type 2A, that is your straight and very wavy, that just makes nothing you can do. You can bake the hair, you have to manipulate it a lot
Yeah.
for it to even curl.
Okay. Love that. So, before I let you go, because I know you're a busy woman, and once again, thank you so much for making the time. What
Thank you.
advice do you have for someone who's contemplating going natural, but because of how natural hair has always been deemed as high maintenance or rather time consuming, what would you advise any person of that sort?
So, firstly, take your time. Like,
Yes.
there's no rush.
Mm-hmm.
There's no rush. Do take your time, do your research. And then once you do, and you found your regimen, you found your routine, you found what works for you. And before you find what works for you, there will
Yeah.
be lots of trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
Understand it, accept it, it is what it is. You will have a lot of trial and error. I've had lots of trial and error. For the last number of years, I've been doing chops every year simply because we associate length so much
True.
to the extent of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's just like do a summer cut, fabulous. I mean, wash day, done, no problem. It's easy at summer in Cape Town, etc. So, that's the one thing. There's going to be lots of trial and error. Don't before you invest in a full product, buy sample size products.
Mm-hmm.
Attend my events, of course,
All
because
right.
you get lots of products, and that's really essentially what it's for. There,
Mm-hmm.
what the purpose thereof is, so that you can test the product.
Yes.
Group of women, two or three, four that you know that you can confide in.
Mm.
Don't twisted and sucked into what is always on social. Find
Yeah.
your people, find your people, 3 or 4 of them, and say, this is not working. I've done this. Do a porosity test. Check out what your hair texture and your hair type is. Do research on your hair type. And again, you may have two. I've got a friend that has all 4 types of hair on her head.
Mm-hmm.
And so, she's got an array of products that works for her,
Mm,
but there will be lots of trial and error. And again, do not compare your journey, don't compare your way to anyone else's, because yours is unique, right? Because you can have 4 sisters in the house with everyone different textures of it. Do
true.
not compare yourself to that, and take your time. Really take your time with this.
Thank you so much, Simone. And lastly, I just want to say personally, I respect and appreciate what you do for not just natural hair, curls, textured goals, but also for women who are trying to find their identity based on their hair. We love and appreciate what you do here on Ready Set Glow. Before I let you go, finally, what is Chris Rocks currently busy with now? Because I know you have events every now and then that are held. Anything we should look forward to?
I cannot say just yet. I really
Okay.
cannot
All
say
right.
just yet. We just had the first ever Cruise Rocks colloquium
Mm-hmm.
that was sponsored by Cream of Nature at
Mm,
in GQ. We had it in GQ, so you literally just missed it.
I
But we just
know.
had it in GQ, and I'm so sorry about that you
It's
missed that.
okay.
But there may be another colloquium, but this will definitely be in Cape Town. And yeah, just check out our socials. Keep our keep your eye on our social media pages for updates on our events that
Please,
are
if you
in
don't
the
mind,
pipeline.
if you don't mind, please do let me know of your social media handles. Are you on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram?
Yes, so on Facebook, yeah, we are on Facebook at Kroes, Kroes,
Mm-hmm.
Rocks. On Instagram, Kroes. On TikTok, not so much.
Yeah.
We try as much. This TikTok street is another, it's another
Mm.
can of worms on its own. But yes, we are on Facebook and on Instagram. And yes, watch our socials for any updates. And you have my email address, krusrakzete@gmail.com for any updates.
Thank
Yes,
you
thank you
so
so much
much.
for this
Thank you so
opportunity.
much for making the time once again. I really appreciate what you do. And onwards from now on.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you.
you.
That was Simone
Bye
Thomas. Thank
bye.
you so much for chilling with us. This is Really Said Glow.